connecting now. We'll see you soon.
Okay, now we're good.
Did you know Birdland Tonight is also a podcast? Head on over to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to Birdland Tonight to get the audio of this show every morning ready for your commute.
Then press end. That same button when finished. Okay, 2 minutes, 20 seconds.
There we go. It's perfect.
Yeah. Private chat, somebody messaging. We have none. Oh, here we go.
That was me.
Oh, okay, cool. Really, every other team in the AL East.
Now, none of those guys have been like impact players yet because they've only been in the show for like the last year. But it's just like, you know, there's such an emphasis on the scouting right now. And like we're still being out scouted too.
Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Make sure that you have subscribed to us on your favorite social media. Look up Birdland Sports on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Like, follow, retweet, share. See you in a moment.
Pocket Watch commenting already.
Who?
Just, I don't know, somebody. They say Orioles are in the win column. I don't know if you can see that on your end.
Oh, yeah, the comment.
Yeah.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God, a win. That's what Bleacher Bird says in the comments, and I love it. I got the champagne ready. Joe and Joel with you here this evening on Birdland Tonight to talk about something that hasn't happened in some time. Joel, how you doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And Joel, I love the Orioles background. It makes me want to get that type of setup here in my in-home studio.
Yeah, you know, I was contemplating on getting a Woody Page set up tonight, having the chalkboard in back and, you know, putting a message out there like, you know, along the lines of I'm the most humble person I know. But
next time.
opted with some of the retro Orioles stuff.
Next time, let's make it happen. So the Orioles get the win tonight. Looking at a couple of the lines, Cedric Mullins goes 2 for 4 with a nice triple, stolen base, a great play in the outfield, which I thought Scott Garceau's call was not bad on. I don't know if you caught that or if you were listening on the radio or what, but had an all-around nice game. Trey Mancini 2 for 3, another 2 RBIs, so that puts him up. Is he at 44 or 46?
You know, I can check that for you. I think he came into the game at 42. So I want to say it's 44, which would be second in the MLB right now.
So he's staying hot. Bruce Zimmerman, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 7 Ks, 87 pitches, lowers his ERA below the 5 threshold. And he was good. He had some good moments, got out of some spots, was real fired up. One of those innings when he was going off, and I thought that was awesome to see. So, you know, those are the goods from tonight. I do think that, you know, of course, the struggles that led us to 14 consecutive losses obviously aren't going anywhere anytime soon. But the guys that, when you're watching the game, hoping to do well, Mullins, Mancini, looking for a decent outing from Zimmerman, you know, that was there tonight. Anything you saw that jumped out at you that was in particularly enjoyable?
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, Zimmerman, you know, to reiterate what you said, he gave him a solid outing. And yes, his ERA has been lowered to 4.96. And he did have some areas in there where he was battling. You know, he's obviously a guy that a lot of us are pulling for, being the, you know, Baltimore product, and I guess going to Towson as well. And, you know, I think it's a good confidence boost for him to get his ERA below 5, because, you know, at this point in the year, he has emerged as our clear number 2.
What a number 2 he is. When you get that ERA below a gentleman's 5, it just makes everyone feel more welcome. Orioles 14th, I believe, in ERA and team ERA in the American League. So that number I see thrown out a lot, 14th. And in my head, you know, it goes to NFL, like, oh, 14 out of 30. That's not bad. That's 14 out of 15 for those keeping track at home. So, you know, it's.
I would imagine they're, you know, the other side of things, their on base percentage and team average is right around 14th as well. So it's.
You don't get this bad on accident. It's got to be a confluence of events. But yeah, it is good to see him have a nice outing. And I'm actually going to Venmo you once we're done here, because this was a line that I'm taking from you, that the Orioles, like the Cicadas, who come out every 17 years, play a decent game about once every 17 games. And I think that's an important point to make, the similarities there between the Cicadas and the Orioles.
Well, with the win, you know, they're on pace right now for, I think, 52 or 53 wins. So.
Really? Okay, so my prediction preseason, which I got a lot of heat for this in the Birdland Tonight group chat, was 54 and 108. So I'm looking at you, Josh, if you're listening. I said 54 and 108, and we are right on. That might be too much. That might be too high, 54.
Well, you know, they could put together a 2-3 game winning streak, and that, you know, number all of a sudden catapults to 60 wins. But yeah, tonight was. You know, it reminded me of an old coach of mine. He used to say, you know, even blind squirrels find nuts, and that's what it felt like getting in the win column.
An old coach of yours said that. I think everyone says that. He didn't come up with that.
He didn't copyright it, that's for sure.
No, he didn't. So Trey Mancini, you know, we can go in any direction you want to go, Joel, as far as who we're talking about here tonight. I wanted to bring him up just because. One, he's such a great story. I mean, it's been, you know, talked about, even national coverage, you know, it's been talked about, right up there with the RBI leaders, having a great year, batting .284 now. Obviously coming back from the colon cancer is great. This is contradictory to what I'm going to say after this. I want the Orioles to trade Trey Mancini, almost just for Trey. Next year is the last year he's under contract. Their history tells me that they're not going to re-sign him. Mike Elias made comments this week about, you know, that they can move anybody. It just depends on how long they're under control, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, it seems like he is the guy that they're going to move. And I'm in favor of that. What do you think?
I'm in favor of it too, and you know, I say that because he's been the ultimate team player since he's you know, come up to Baltimore. You know, he was a first baseman, but that spot was occupied by Chris Davis, and so you know, he learned how to play left field, and at times was even stuck in right field. And you know, you look at a guy like that, the amount of runs that he's driven in at this point. And he does have value to teams that are, looking to make a run. And, if you're the Orioles, I forget if Trey is 29 or if he's 30 at this point. I got to look that up.
Let me check his birth certificate.
How much more of a shelf life does he have at this point? And is he going to be productive still when the Orioles, plan to turn that corner? And I don't know. And I think that he's done everything that he can for Baltimore at this point, and you do owe it to him to let him be a part of a winning team.
Yes, and that is my belief. This guy has, you have an organization that asked him to take a salary deferment at the start of this year. He's done everything they've asked. He is a cancer survivor. Give the man a chance to win somewhere and bring back some prospects in return. The Yankees, they're struggling at the plate. LeMahieu, and we don't need to get into that, but I'm saying I shouldn't even say that throw the Yankees out there because that's going to get blowback. But that's a team that could be interested in someone like Trey. I don't care who they trade him to. I just think that they should move him because he's going to be one of our biggest pieces. Cody here, who you mentioned, Chris Davis, big Chris Davis supporter. Cody, he says trade Trey. And what does this here say as we discuss trading him? I say it's contradictory because, the other name that comes up a lot is John Means. I think that is ridiculous. And there's people that vehemently disagree with me, but here's a guy with Means that you have 3 years of control left after this year. And if they move him, I think that's nothing more than money because they don't want to pay his arbitration salary. Next year, it's first year of arbitration eligibility for him. He's making like $500,000 this year. So
594. So he's right above league minimum.
Right above league minimum. He's going to go to arbitration and he's going to get what kind of raise? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a lot, millions in raise. And so if they move him, a legitimate Cy Young contender with that much control left, that makes no sense to me. That's
that much control, and he's a lefty.
Right. So Mancini and any of these other bums, absolutely. Mr. Means, no, I do not. I do not want to see.
Means is also a hair younger than Mancini too. If you're really planning to turn the corner in the next, couple of years, you're asking me. I don't think it's next year, and hopefully next year becomes that 70-win season. But if you're looking ahead to 2023, 2024, when he's 30 years old, he can still bring some productivity at that point. He's had not even three full major league years now, but he's probably going to make the All-Star game this year. And he made it his rookie year too. So
probably, he might very well be the starter for the All-Star game. Could be. Yeah,
I'm not sure who's
dominating
from AL right now. I think Cole's up there, but then when you look at MLB league leaders, you have DeGrom and then having Gausman as well.
Gausman got him on my fantasy team. That's Gausman's been great.
6-0 at this point.
But that's a good segue too, Joel. I think because that's as you're in the midst of a 14 game slide, which is hard to do, by the way. 14 games should not be underappreciated to lose that many in a row. All the talk has been about the minor leagues, right? And what our guys are doing down there, both at single A, single A with Grayson Rodriguez now, he's in Bowie. Obviously DL Hall, Rutschman has been red hot. Other guys, Westberg. Where do you see? I know you mentioned a couple of years. What do you see? What do you think is where we headed? When can we start to get angry at the fact that we suck? Because I'm there already.
I'm kind of there already right now,
But I was hoping you could talk me off the ledge.
I don't know if I could talk you off the ledge.
You might push me. You might push me off the ledge.
try to think back when they were 15 and 16, the good old days of this year. Um, but I don't know when we can expect these guys to hit the major leagues, because Elias has put an emphasis on the clock starts ticking as soon as you call these guys up. So I'm not sure when the cutoff date is at this year when they are considered a rookie versus when their rookie season carries over to 2022. But I heard Jim Palmer talking tonight about DL Hall, and there's a guy that's 22 and a half years old. He was our first round pick in 2017, and he has 39 strikeouts in 21 innings to go with the ERA of, I think it's like 2.04 or 2.14. And then you look at a guy like Rushman as well, and going into tonight, his on-base percentage was .465 in Bowie. And this might push you over the ledge, but I think that those guys, would make the Orioles better right now. Now, does it matter if the Orioles are better right now? Absolutely not. They're going to finish last place this year, whether those guys are up or down. So at this point, you might as well wait to call them up so that the clock doesn't start ticking. But we were chatting. Sorry,
no, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say, we were chatting before this, and I looked up every other team in the AL East and their first round picks from 2016 through 2020, and the Orioles, in that span of all their first round picks from those years, the highest competition that any of those guys are playing at is Double-A Bowie. When you look at everybody else in the AL East, they have at least one guy that has scratched the surface in the MLB in that span. Some of them have, multiple guys that are in AAA to go with that major leaguer. So, I don't know why there's hesitation with some of these guys. I feel like, a guy like Rushman, we should be seeing what he can do in Norfolk right now. Against some of those guys, like the Dean Kramers of the world that are jumping back and forth, get him some experience against guys that have major league experience, with some of the 4A pitchers, that you will. But,
and I agree with everything that you're saying. And that's where I struggle, because other people that I talk to will say, well, it doesn't matter right now. And, you don't want to start that service time clock to get to that year of arbitration eligibility, because then obviously they're getting more expensive. But you actually said this, and I think it's a great point when we were chatting before the show, is doesn't an organization owe some level to the fans, to the product in general, to put something better on the field? I mean, this what we have now, what we're watching. I mean, we could run down the batting averages and look at the roster. I mean, it's horrendous.
Yeah, Elias, he had like a 20-minute talk last week with Oriole beat reporters, and there were a couple headlines that came from it. Sophomore slumps happen. It's important to remain committed. But one of the things that he said was that when he took the job, it was all about a systemic rebuild first, and I agree with that. I think that there was a lot of aspects with the international rebuild that needed to be approached, and building from the ground up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's not the director of scouting anymore. When you're the general manager of a baseball team, you still have a duty to throw a major league team out there. And I texted you earlier. Our 5 through 8 hitters, 3 out of those 4 were hitting sub 200. And you look at an off season like this where we where we non-tender guys like Hans or Alberto that were productive in past years, and yet we're throwing Stevie Wilkerson out to play second base. I question some of the moves that he's making at the major league level.
Right. I mean, I agree, and that I agree with that. My other piece to this is, at some point, because the devil's advocate there is going to say, well, that's one of the pains of the rebuild, because you need to lose. You need to stockpile on those early round picks, 1 through 5. So even being decent, when you're trying to have this foundation up rebuild that Elias talks about, you almost can't. This is the devil's advocate side to it, which, like you said, and I agree, there is merit in that, because the Orioles farm system, their international stuff was neglected. I just see, when you're at this point, okay, Rutschman is in Double-A, DL Hall's in Double-A. We don't have a quality major league catcher. It's not like someone is blocking him. Bring him up. He played college ball. He's hitting the cover off the ball right now. His average is close to 300. I don't know what he did tonight, or if they played tonight even. But he was up to 290 something. Bring him up. Let's see. I mean, what if you're always going to operate in this realm of fearfulness of starting that clock? Then I question, like, well, what is one day the plan to just say, oh, well, we're going to call up 26 players today and we're ready. We're ready to compete. Right. Obviously,
a lot about them wanting to bring those core players up together, and it's like, well, what are you waiting for? 2 out of those 3 to be successful?
Right. Are they going to save money on a bus or something and put them all in the same one? Like, it doesn't, like, get better.
I can agree with that as well, because I do think from a competitive standpoint, the best players should play. But also when you look around the AL East as well, other teams have guys that range from 22 to 24 years old that are stars for them. Guerrero Jr. with Toronto. Actually, Toronto has a few in Biggio, Guerrero Jr. and Bichette. And then, the Yankees, I think Gleyber Torres, who's been in the majors for like 4 years now, he's only like 24 or 25. Red Sox, they got Devers. And so, when are the Orioles going to pull the trigger and say, well, these are our young guns?
Right. And I guess that's just it. That's what I'm asking. When you're not saying that the rebuild is over when you do that, but at some point you have to build up to it, right? And add Adley, bring up DL Hall, start getting a little better, and then you add a veteran to come in to complete the package in a couple of years. But to me, it almost becomes like this mystical thing that we just keep talking about to excuse the just continued, poor major league product. Well, this is the rebuild. This is the process, which I'm impatient. I'm impatient naturally. So someone listening or someone might chime in and say, oh, well, that's just how it is. That's ridiculous. But from a fan's perspective too, the Orioles over the last, I just tweeted this to Mark Viviano the other day because he made some comment similar to this is just part of the rebuild. And we've had losing seasons like 19 out of the last 24. So this is not, I mean, that's obscene to say something like that. So like for
you're
someone
not impatient at that point when,
yes.
taken up, when losing seasons have literally been, 75, 80% of your life.
Right. Exactly. See, look, Josh chimes in here. He says, bring on the next 14-game losing streak. Well, we don't have to wait long. It'll be back tomorrow. We popped the champagne tonight, but we got to put it back on ice because.
Yeah, in 5,337 fans were there to pop that champagne. We ease restrictions and open up full capacity, and they hit half of the previous capacity.
When I saw that,
the Baltimore fans right now, they're excited with us.
Right. But how can you blame them? We were gonna, I know, talk about this later on. We can jump into it now. Full capacity tonight, right? Like, what is, from an Orioles PR perspective, what are they doing? If you're gonna suck at the major league level, first of all, you've got the Masson app, which has been a total disaster. I still like tonight. I was trying to pull it up on the app, and like I'm flipping through with it was the Nationals game, and then I went over the Orioles game, and then I got stuck in some weird commercial loop that I couldn't get out of. So I'm saying that's one area that has, from like a PR perspective, tonight. First night. It's a Tuesday. It's the Twins. We suck. We're the worst team in baseball. Where's the promotion? Buy one ticket, get one free. Buy one, get two free. Free hot dogs. I don't know, something.
Yeah, I mean, they used to do $1 hot dog night back in the
hot
day,
dogs.
and you know, it is difficult to draw fans because school's not out yet, and you know, it was the first night where they eased the restrictions, but you know, they did something a few years ago where I want to say like kids under 12 got in the park free during like the first few months of the year, and
I thought they were doing something similar like that. I'm not even sure, to be honest. I'd have to.
I couldn't tell you, but you asked where the promotions are, and I think they have a T-shirt giveaway this Friday where the first 20,000 fans get a T-shirt. So
everybody's
see
gonna
how
get
many
two.
leftover T-shirts they have at the end of the night.
No, everybody's going to get 2 or 3.
Right.
But yeah, that's another beef of mine, and it's all just coming out, Joel. So forgive me. It's all just it's very therapeutic, and the setting that you have behind you, your face, you look very handsome tonight. This is just giving me a position to have it all come flowing out because they won, and we should be celebrating.
I got a lot of Cal stuff back here. Back when the Orioles had a shout out Cal. When the Orioles had a player that was the best at his position.
Right.
I'm trying to think the last time the Orioles had that. I guess Machado could have been in the mix. You had guys like Arenado that were, obviously competing with him. It would probably be Zach Britton as closer for that year or two.
Yeah.
Right now, you look at the roster, and do they have anybody that's in the top 3 at the position?
Well, John Means, yeah, they have one. But let's go the other way. Means top 3 at his position. How many guys do they have that aren't bottom 3 at their position? That are that are starting players. I mean, it's.
I don't know if those guys would even qualify as starting players because they're shuffling in and out so many guys right now that a lot of guys only have 50 to 60 at bats. And that's I guess if I'm getting back on track, that's a little bit of my beef with Elias and fielding a major league roster. We've continuously put out guys like Chance Sisco and Stewart, and they've been in the Orioles system for years now. They hit the big leagues in 2016. They're not going to wake up and just have it now. We've gotten a big enough sample size where if you're truly committed to a rebuild, they're not going to be a part of it. So why are you wasting at bats with them?
For those downloading the podcast tomorrow, I've been nodding my head in agreement. You can't see it Josh yelled at me for that one time. So I was going like this, and he's like, he's like, we're streaming. People on the podcast can't see you doing this.
For all the drivers, Joe is nodding his
head. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. And I don't want the answer to be, well, they're just being frugal, because there is obviously a lifetime, lifetime for the most part example of that, under this ownership where that is the route that they take. So, because I agree, you see guys, I mean, Brian McKenna, come on, what? Enough, but bring up someone else.
Right. Well, prior to tonight, with that losing streak, the wheels felt like, and they looked like in every aspect that they were falling off. So like right now, it's almost gotten to the point where guys on the team, you have a few different classifications. You have the journeymen, which are trying to fight every day to keep their MLB career going. The guys that were on the Indians team in the movie Major League, the Jake Taylors, one more year. And, we got a number of those guys on our team right now. And then you have guys, like Means and Mancini that are thinking like, I increase my value, maybe I can get out of here.
Speaking of those guys, as we look ahead to tomorrow's game, the Dark Knight takes the hill, Matt Harvey. He brings with him his hefty 6.84 ERA. You talk about last chances. This is a guy that came out of the gate pretty much as good as you could have expected, right? I mean, he wasn't dominant. No one was expecting him to be dominant by any stretch of the imagination, but he was okay. He was getting 4 2/3, 5 innings,
Right.
throwing hard. I mean, I remember texting you that one day that, mid-90s, I was like, put this guy in the bullpen. Let him be a Tommy Hunter type role. And the wheels have just
his velocity has been up. When you look at the MLB stat graphs and whatnot in comparison to who he was with last year, was it Cincinnati, maybe? But yes, it's been a little bit of a dreadful 4 year run for him. And the narrative, like you said a few weeks ago, was, hey, this guy looks all right. People were saying, oh, he's going to be trade bait at the deadline. Right. And that narrative completely changed.
He's with us for the long haul.
You had that interesting point a month ago, and maybe it is worth revisiting right now. Maybe similar to what Brian Mattis provided for them. Brian Mattis had a promising start his rookie year, and then the wheels fell off, and he went like 1-9 his second year. They tried him one more year as a starter, and after like the first 5 starts, they just told him, go to the bullpen and throw gas. And
right.
Maybe that's what the Orioles need Harvey to do right now. I don't know.
Here's the problem, Happy. You're not any good.
But can he be good for 1 to 2 innings? Because right now,
their
bullpen is
it's horrible,
like many other areas on their team. But
we can just assume that when saying it. But right, the bullpen stinks. He stinks in the starting role. Let him get in there, throw some gas.
Brian Mattis is a bad example because he was a lefty, but like Tommy Hunter is actually a better.
I think Tommy Big Game is the perfect example. A guy was a starter. He threw hard, but then you put him in the bullpen, and he was hitting triple digits sometimes. And,
or Bud Norris, for that matter. Norris had a couple good years following being a starter in the pen.
So, let's wrap it up here. We're getting towards the end of our time. So, Orioles win. Happy to get off the slide and get back into win column. It's something hopefully we can see more frequently. Like Joel said, maybe we can run off a few and get that win total up in the low to mid 60s. That would really just put a smile on my face to be heading in that direction. Or if you're Mike Elias, maybe the losses is what you want, and you want another, like Josh said, bring on another 14-game losing streak. So with the number 1 pick, we can pull a curse that and pick like the 12th ranked prospect with that number 1 overall pick. Maybe that's something that we could do. Matt Harvey on the mound tomorrow. What do you got, Joel? You think the Orioles going to make it 2 for 2, or are we heading back to a slide? Give us your prediction right now. Give it to the people.
If you're going to put a gun to my head, I'm going to say they're going to lose, but I'll try and be optimistic. We're going to get 2 in a row tomorrow.
Okay, 2 in a row.
Matt Harvey's going to give us 5 strong, and they'll pull it out.
Okay, you heard it here first. Matt Harvey picks up his 4th win tomorrow. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Joel, any departing words before we hit the road here?
No, I'm good.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Catch you on the next Birdland tonight.